Hi, my name is Sarah Wilson, and I'm 19, and I go to the University of North Texas, which is a couple minutes from, well, it's like 30 minutes from Dallas, and I'm gonna be in my second year. So, I had selective mutism from when I was about 3 to about 12 or 13, and I'm really interested in helping other people because I'm majoring in psychology, and I guess um, I really want to help other kids with selective mutism. I really want to specialize in selective mutism when after I go to grad school and get my license and everything, because I feel like otherwise the things I went through and experienced would kind of just, and the knowledge I gained from all of that would kind of just go to waste if I didn't help other kids with that, because I feel like I'm kind of in a interesting position having gone through it. So um, basically, when I was basically the typical SM story. When I was 3, my parents started noticing that I was just really quiet. I wouldn't smile in pictures. On my 3rd birthday, they tried to sing me happy birthday, and I just cried. Um, and I could not be the center of anyone's attention. Um, and so it was like 1996 or so, and it wasn't that not that many doctors knew about it, so they just figured I was shy. I went to preschool. I didn't talk. I talked a little bit because I still wasn't full blown SM. Um, so I talked a little bit, but not. It was really in kindergarten. We moved to Texas when I was 5, and which is where I am now. And when I got to kindergarten, my teacher. I remember my mom telling me that she said, I can tell from the look in Sarah's eyes that she knows the alphabet, and then she's understanding everything I'm saying, and she gets straight A's on all of her homework, but um, I can't prove that she can say it. I can't prove that she knows it. And I almost had to stay in kindergarten because I couldn't tell her the alphabet. And so that's when my mom really started just, going all out, trying to figure out what was wrong. And the internet was still in its early stages, but she just Googled everything she could. She looked up everything she told. We went to so many doctors, and they all just said I was shy. It was social anxiety. It wasn't. I'm sure that autism was tossed out a few times because she couldn't prove that I was not that way. And I talked at home all the time, just chatterbox. I talked to my brothers. I talked to. I had a couple of friends in kindergarten even that I eventually started talking to. Um, and they would be the only people I would talk to. And so that's how, the teacher could see that and be like, oh, well, she does talk, she just doesn't talk to me, she doesn't talk to the other students. But I remember in kindergarten even being afraid to pick up a crayon. I couldn't even do that. So, in the 1st grade is when I was diagnosed, 1998. Um, and it's just amazing that I was diagnosed in 1998. And I was able to get an IEP, and that really did help me because every year before school started, my mom and I and my speech therapist would go around to all the teachers, and they would explain what SM was. They'd give them reading materials. They'd give them all kinds of things, and for the most part, my teachers were understanding. You know, there's always going to be a few teachers who are like, oh, this is made up. This is just in their disorder, but really, for the most part, they were understanding. And so I went through 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, all of elementary school, just very, very severe selective mutism. And then 5th grade started getting severe panic attacks as well, so that just made everything way worse. And there really wasn't huge amounts of progress in that time. I did start taking some medication, Prozac, stuff like that. But it wasn't anything. I still was very super reserved, super self-conscious. I wouldn't raise my hand and answer in class, and if by chance I did, the teacher would have to come up to me and I'd whisper to them so quietly no one else could hear. Um, and then I went to middle school, and for 6th and 7th grade, it was basically the same. I started talking to a few more people, but it was still just my very closest friends who I had a blast with. I felt like a normal kid. I really didn't feel like I was just an outsider, really. Um, Except at school, I just didn't talk, and a lot of kids came to accept that that's how I was the girl who didn't talk. Um, but after, so 6th and 7th, 8th grade was really the turning point for me. I had a great counselor in middle school, and I started talking to her, and I think the reason she helped me so much is that she she didn't pressure me, and you know and this is things I would say if I was to be on that panel, is that pressuring is one of the worst things you can do for a kid with SM, because it just makes them kind of go, like the more you say, like, I mean, every kid is different, I understand that, but I feel like a majority would be if you say, like, if anyone ever set me a deadline, I remember a speech pathologist telling me, you have to talk by the end of this session or you can't go to recess. And so I just completely shut down. I just put my head on the desk and cried because I wasn't going to talk to her, especially not after she gave me an ultimatum like that. And, punishment obviously was not the answer. And but anyways, the reason that she really helped me in middle school was because she kind of just backed up and let me progress on my own time, and she would give me advice and tips and try to. And what really helped is, I guess they call it sliding in now, but at the time there wasn't a term for that, and we would call it like the triangle effect, where I had me and my friend that I talked to, who was one of my best friends, and we would get a teacher in there, and they would stand outside the door, classic, I think it's in the Selective Mutism Handbook, and that's how I really was able to start talking to more people. And like I would sit at the lunch table with my friends, and some of my other friends that I didn't talk to but that I wanted to would kind of hear me talking to those friends, and eventually I would talk to them. And so in the 8th grade I started talking to a lot more people, but it was still like I still definitely had SM. And then the summer before 9th grade, I went to this tennis camp because I played tennis. I wasn't that good, but I played tennis, and I went to this tennis camp at Texas A&M University with one of my best friends, but we were placed in different little small groups, and I don't know what it was. I guess it was a progression of some progress that had built up, and I started talking at that tennis camp, and of course I was still very quiet, and I wasn't like, hey, hello, everyone, but if any of the girls in my group asked me something, I would be like, yeah, my name's Sarah, and I just talked, and it's because those girls didn't know me as the girl who didn't talk, and I didn't have any expectation to not talk, so I felt that I could. And then on my first day of high school, I was afraid that maybe, since a lot of those kids did know me, not all of them, only about a third of them, because the middle schools all went to the same high school, I was afraid maybe I wouldn't talk, but I got up and I introduced myself in one of my classes when we were supposed to do that as a first day assignment, and I just couldn't believe it, and no one, and really, even the kids who were in my middle school, they didn't even say anything. I maybe had 5 kids come up to me over the course of high school and be like, wait, you talk now? I didn't know, I thought you used to never talk, and I'd be like, oh, and, and now it's like, I can't even, it's like ancient history, that part. I remember it and I talk about it because I don't want it I don't want to forget about it because it's such an important part of my life, but, I'm not that way anymore at all. Like, as you can tell, like, I might stumble over my words a little bit because I'm not the best public speaker. I did make an A in my high school speech class, which was just, I made a speech my senior year in front of 100 people, and, I just want to share my story because I had it so severely. I don't have time to go super into detail in this video, but I had it so severely, but I was able to just come so far, and I feel like maybe that could give parents and even 12-year-olds, 11-year-olds, kids listening, hope, because it was so bad for me, and yet I'm in college, I'm making straight A's in college, I can raise my hand and talk in a philosophy class with 30 people in it and not even think about it. And, that's just such a huge thing. And, yeah, so I guess that's my basic story. I don't have time to go into it super detail. But, that is my story, and I'd love to help out. I just anything being on that panel would be just so awesome for me. Not only because it would I want to start making connections in the little SM world because I really want to be a part of that, and I really um, want to specialize in it, and I want to help as many kids and people as I can because I'm just so passionate about it. It's like I feel like that's my life's purpose at this moment. So thank you so much for your time, and I will stay in touch. Thanks.